We've been building up skills to build web pages and kind of tying them all together. And so what I want to do real quick is just do a walkthrough of how we would go about creating a page, setting up for CSS, getting our initial divs in place, and so forth. Kind of a refresher, kind of putting it all together. So I am going to jump over into Dreamweaver and start there. This is our typical setup. So my first thing I need to start is I need a page. So I'm going to go up to File and say New, because files in Dreamweaver typically are HTML pages. So when I say New File, right here I get New Document. There's my HTML. I get to pick my doc type. We have started with XHTML 1.0 transitional. We've moved on to HTML5 now, so I'm going to stick with that. And up here I get the opportunity to put my title in place. And I think I might as well go ahead and put it in place. Let's see, I don't know my topic. I'm going to say test page, because I don't have anything else for this at the moment. Okay, so once I do that, I'm going to say create, and there's my first page. I like to keep this thing in split view and design. Okay, so that gives me a good workspace to work with there. Now my next step, I should go ahead and save this thing. Might as well get it saved. So I'm going to go to File and Save. And there's my local root folder. Very good. I'm going to go into Assignments. And I'm going to go down to a Project 6 demo folder, which is not a folder you guys have had, but I've created a new one just for some extra things I'm doing. So with this one, let's see, I need to come up with a name, and I'm going to go ahead and name it index.html. Index being my default file name. It's the one that's going to load by default if I send something to a folder. So it's the name of my home page, or it can be the default page within a folder. So make sure you name it index, all lowercase. So index.html, and I am going to save. Very good. Now I have one quick step that helps prepare my page, get it ready for working on mobile as well. And I want to come up here and go Insert, HTML, slide over here and come down here and find Viewport and do that. And you see it just adds this one line of code for me. I get a meta, the name of viewport, my content. I get width equals device width, so that sizes my page down smaller like to a phone, and initial scale 1, which makes it a lot easier to read something initially on something like a mobile phone. Now, the next thing, I'm going to end up wanting to put some CSS in here. I just switched to my CSS designer, and I could come over here and start to put that in place. In fact, let's see, I do need to do that. I also want to get my reset rules in place, so let's actually take care of that. So I'm going to go hide Dreamweaver for a moment and bring up my browser, and I want to go get the reset rules. So you may have those saved already. I'm going back, let's see, week 5 is when we talked about reset. So I'm going to go there, and right here, Myers Reset CSS, I'm going to go to that page. Now you might be using a different version. You might have a customized version. I'm just going to go grab Eric Myers standard ones. So on this page, I look right here where it says a copy of the file, and I'm going to right click on that and say Save Link As. Reset.css, that's perfect. You know what, I'm just going to stick it on my desktop for the moment. That's easiest. It's going to be a little difficult to find my root folder. So I'm going to say save right there. And great, that's where I need it. Okay, now here is the folder I'm working in, my root folder. And right there is the index file that I was starting to create. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop my reset CSS right there. Okay, so put that away. So now I can run back over to Dreamweaver. Okay, got my page created, saved. Let's go ahead and get some CSS going. So with the CSS designer, let's go up here to sources and hit plus, and I'm going to attach an existing CSS file. Here I'm going to go browse, Okay, assignments, that's close. I'm right down here in Project 6 Demo. There's my reset.css. I'm going to select that and say Open. And on this window, it defaults to link, and I want to leave that alone. So I'm just going to go ahead and say OK. Now my reset rules are in place. And you can see that it's attached right up here. I see source code and reset. So you can see them there. And also if I look down in code, you can see link, and there's the reset.css there. Okay, I'm going to go do a save. Now, I like to keep my reset rules separate from my CSS rules. You can put them in the same file, but if you do, when you're working in your one file over here in CSS Designer, you will see your reset rules as well, and so you could accidentally make changes. I don't want to give that, don't want to let that be a possibility. So I need a second source file here. So, two ways we could go about it. Originally what we did was we came up here and we hit the plus and we said create a new CSS file. And in this dialog box I could browse and go save my file there. Okay, nothing wrong with doing that. And that's a good setup as you're getting going. However, I've shown you a couple shortcuts, and so I'm going to use one of the shortcuts right now. I'm going to skip on ahead and put my first div in place. And I know that as I do that, I can create my CSS file. So I'm clicking up here in the main section. I'm going to go Insert Div. At insertion point, that's great. I am going to put my container div, and I'm going to use an ID because there's only one per page. So there's my container. And then I like this new CSS rule button here. I can go ahead and create some rules while I'm creating my div. So I name it container. Do not put the pound sign in front there since it's already on an ID form space. So new CSS rule. Now this one I double check. It is an ID. Pound container is correct. And then down here, you always have to check where it's going to save. I don't want it in this document. I don't want it in reset. This is that shortcut right here where I can say new style sheet file. So I'm going to click on that and say OK. That then brings me up to a dialog box where I can save it. So I'm going to name it styles.css, and that's my folder, project6.demo, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and save it there. Okay, so that was my shortcut to do that. Now I'm in the CSS rule definition window. And just a couple things. I'm going to go to the box window, just my basics for container. I need to give it a width. I'm going to say 1,000 pixels just for easy math. And then I want to center it. So I'm going to come to margin, turn off same for all, and set the left and right to auto. So with those set to auto, it will center within the browser window. It splits the difference on either side, the difference between the width of the container and the width of the browser window. Okay, that's all I really need for this one. Sometimes I put a background color in. I don't think I'm going to. I'm just going to go ahead and say OK. So now my rules are done, and I'm back to the Insert Div window, and I say OK again. And now you see it inserted my div up here, and you see that it's centered. Okay, so it created those rules. Also up here in CSS Designer, you can see styles.css was created, and there's my container selector right there. So I did a bunch of different steps all together. Okay, let's go up and let's do a save all, because I want to save my page and my CSS files. And I will point out right here that I have source, there's my reset file, there's my styles.css file. So you can see all of them there. From here, I would keep building my page structure. Let's go a little bit further into that. I'm going to go ahead and put a header in place, and then maybe a container div. And so my first one, my header, is the topmost div within the container. So I'm going to come here where the word here is in container and just click right after it. And then I'm going to insert a div. Let's see, I'm going to use an ID of header because there's only one per page. I could do new CSS rules, but at the moment I don't have anything I need to do with header. So you can do that if you would like, but mine's going to go full width, and therefore I don't need to assign a width to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and say OK, and it has inserted my header in the space there. Now I'm ready to insert my next div. Of course, this is the point at which you can't really tell what order these divs are in here, and so it makes the most sense to come look at your code. And here I can see there's my container, opens on line 11 and closes on 13, and within it is my header div. It opens and closes right there on 12. Okay, so that's how you can tell what's exactly how they're nested. The other thing is I want to put another div after my header. So say I want a content div after. There's no good place up here to click to insert. And so my best bet is to go to code. I know I want it right after the header, so I'm going to click at the end of the header and hit return. And I'm just going to insert my div right there. So insert div. I'm going to do a class of content because it could be used more than once. And offhand, I don't need any rules for it right now, so I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And that is my next div. So as I put more divs in, at this point, it's pretty much just easier to go to my code and pick the right spot to insert the div. I can't necessarily tell where it belongs up in the upper area up here. Okay, so that's the beginning of my page. That's all the basic steps. I will continue on from here, putting all of my structure in place.